Hi, so today I'm going to be going over a MacBook Air board that is not turning on. This comes from a pile of crap that I had bought from a company called Ascendtech. So I did receive an email a few months back asking if I was interested in a lot of machines, and as I said in one of the other videos, my first concern with something like that was, gee, I've bought motherboards from you on eBay before. Those motherboards said they were refurbished. Is what you're selling me out of the pile of stuff that your techs were not able to fix or that tried to fix and failed? No. I said in another video, I used to date this woman that every time she did something that was wrong, or like really, just really, really fucked up, she would, instead of going no, that would be the regular no, I didn't do that, no, and then there'd be no, which was the no, but yeah, I actually did exactly what you're accusing me of, and it was wrong and fucked up kind of thing, and they're like, no. And, you know, I get this pile of machines where, like, half of the fucking machines that you claim that you never worked on have the SPI ROM chip on backwards and missing pads under BGA chips. And it's like, so big fuck you to Ascendtech there. Anyway, there are a couple of machines here that they didn't destroy and sodomize. The ones that they really did destroy and sodomize, I have not been doing videos on for the most part. I think I did video on maybe only one or two of them, because each one of those is like a 3-hour board repair. And I'm just going through them just so that I can get my money back on the garbage that piece of pile of crap company sold me. But anyway, so this is one that all they did was ultrasonic clean it. Or who am I kidding? I'm probably alcohol on a toothbrush with how fucking dumb half of the people there are. Again, when half of the boards that I get from you, like the problem with the board is that you have the BIOS chip on backwards, and I know that you did that because the chip is covered in flux. It's like, idiot. But, Anyway, so this board is a board that you get the light and the charger and everything, but it doesn't turn on, the fan doesn't spin. This is an 820-3437 board, and we're going to go through it and try to figure out what it is that's wrong with it. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the DC-in board and the DC-in board flex out of the machine so that we can work on it without having to deal with, the machine and every time I turn it around it being a pain in the ass. So I'm going to... Okay. T5, T5, T5. Okay, first I'm going to grab a T5 from the front, and then we're going to get back to the... Alright, now the first thing that I tell all of you people to do is that you should always be checking your power rails, and I'm going to just show you where that page is on the schematic, so that you can get a little bit of an idea of what it is I'm talking about. So let's change hello, open broadcaster, alright. Change, there we go, that is so cool. Look at that. Look at that. That is... I could do this all day. I mean, this is so cool. All right, but anyway, let's actually get to work. So we're going to go to where the power rail page is on the schematic. There's going to be a one page that lists all the rails, and instead of it being on page 1 like it used to be, or page 2 or 3, now they put that crap on like page 62. All right, if you want to know where the power rails are on the schematic, you got to go to page 62. So I'm going to start measuring around on the board, and if you don't know how it is I know where these things are, you open this board view software. I can hit N and type in ppbush G3 hot, and it's going to bring up every single place in the board that shows up. See, it's pretty cool software. So let's check. So for ppbush G3 hot, I get, let's see, 8.5 volts. All right, now let's see what I get for other power rails in the machine. So I know that since I got a light on the charger that PP3V42 shows up. I know that because the one-wire circuit works off of PP3V42. If you don't understand what I'm talking about when I say that I know that the orange light in the charger means that the PP3V42 rail is there, just view any one of the half a dozen videos I have here on the one-wire circuit and you'll figure that out. Now let's go over the other rails. So let's see if something like PP5VSO is there. So this machine is supposed to turn itself into an SO state from the moment that you plug in the charger. This is unlike the older MacBooks where you actually have to push the power button to turn it on. All the Core i5 and i7 series MacBooks and MacBook Airs and MacBook Pros, the second that you plug the charger power in, it just turns itself on. So I want to see if a SO rail is present to see if the machine is actually at a point of getting itself into an SO state. Okay, so I have 5 volts on PP5VSO. That means the machine is in an SO state. That means the machine is actually trying to turn on. But one of the problems that I have right now is that even though the machine is making its way to an SO state, so all the signals are present required to get to the machine to say, okay, turn on all the S5 rails. Okay, turn on all the S3 rails. Okay, turn on all the SO rails. One of my rails is missing. Now, at this point, I can do one of two things. The first thing I can do is I can go back to my schematic, and after I go to the schematic, I can look and go through every single SO rail. So I can see if PP3V3SO is there. I can see if PP1V05SO PCHHSIO is there. PP1V05SO is there. PP0V6_SO DDRVTT, PP1V5SO, PP1V05 SUS. And I can go through every single one of those and check them one by one. The second thing that I can do is that I can try to look for a hint for what the Ascentech fucktards missed before they sold this to me. So let's try to look for what the Ascentech morons missed, which is why this is here. Because even though they are scamming people who decided to send me a bunch of crap that they did indeed work on, that they said that we don't work on these before we send them. Even though they did that and they are kind of scammers, scumming pieces of shit, one of the things that I know for a fact is that they're probably idiots. So they probably missed something that's really, really easy, which will hopefully allow me to make some easy money out of this stack of complete clusterfucks of ripped pads under BGA chips and other bullshit. Anyway, so let's go under the microscope and start exploring. So here's one of the things I want to show you that I see in the actual case of the computer. So let's just drag the microscope over. This is probably going to be confusing because it's going to be really, really... It's just, this is not something that you're supposed to look at under a microscope. I'm just showing you with it because I don't feel like getting up and putting this in front of the camcorder. So this itself is the, see this is the MacBook Air, and this is where the motherboard goes. So when I look at this under here, eventually I get to a spot where you see what looks like a little pile of bird shit, right? So that is where the liquid damage originally occurred. So this point on the board is where the liquid damage occurred. Now, what happened at this point, most likely, is that an Ascentech monkey decided that they were going to toothbrush and alcohol the board there. And when it didn't work, Ascentech monkey decided that this goes in the pile that goes to Lewis. Which I actually, in some small way, appreciate. Thank you for giving me at least one fucking board that you didn't rip a bunch of BGA pads on or popcorn chips on before it got to me. Because that is bullshit. So this is the part of the board over here. Let me just get the camera color adjusted. Now this is the part of the board right over here that is sitting right where that little shit stain is. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to look this up for some clarity and some context in the board view software. So I'm going to change over to the board view software right now, and I'm going to scroll over to where that is. And this is where that is in the board view software. So that over there is chip U7600. Now what I want to do after I know what chip it is, I'm going to switch back over to my schematic in the PDF reader. I'm going to search for U7600. Now, when I search for U7600, I see 1.05 volt SO regulator. And this chip is responsible for creating PP1V05 SO. Do you think there's a possibility that that is missing? So my machine is in an SO state. I already know that since it's trying to get itself to an SO state, that all my S3 and my S5 rails have got to be present. Because if I don't have S3 and S5 rails, I'm not going to have SO. I know that all my S5 and my S3 rails are present just because I have PP5ESO. I know that the machine is trying to enter an SO state. I know that this thing thinks it's on, it's trying to turn on, but one of those rails is not turning on, which is why my computer is not turning on and why my fan's not spinning, even though it's in an SO state. So again, by the way, for those of you who have not followed along very long, when I say SO state, S3 state, S5 state, S5 state, off. S3 state is suspend or sleeping, and SO state means the computer is on and working. So when you close the lid of your MacBook and you see the little light blink in the front, that is sleeping. That's an S3 state. When you hold the power button down, you turn it off, that's S5. That's off. That's a S5 state. And when you turn it on, you're actively working on it, that is SO. That's the on state. So what I see over here on my schematic is I see that this is an SO rail, PP1V05 SO, that is created by this chip that has the shit stain on it. So my theory is now very, very likely to be correct. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for PP1V05_SO on this board, and I want to see where it is it pops up, and I want to measure it because I would bet my balls that it is missing. So let's just plug this in and see what's going on here. So right above this chip, there is a capacitor C7601, and on C7601, I am supposed to see 1.05 volts. So I'm going to switch over to that view, and let's see what I have. So there's supposed to be a cap moving from left to right, and here I have a cap going up and down. Am I losing it? Good chance I'm losing it. Did I open the right board view? Huh. I am looking at the right board view, right? Okay, I am looking at the right board view. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong friggin' area. Here we go. Okay, back. Yeah, I'm losing my mind because it is 1 in the morning and it's just about time for me to get the fuck out of here and go home. Alright. So, this is the area. Now, let's see what I get at that capacitor. So I'm going to bring the multimeter over. I have it in voltage mode. This thing is plugged in. And when I check this area right now, and when I measure at that cap, do I get 1.05 volts? What do I get here? I get 0.9 volts. That's really, really close, isn't it? That's really, really close. That should be good. But that's not 1.05. And that is, believe it or not, that is actually off enough for something like a CPU to fuck it up. Or anything that is applying voltage to a CPU. So what here looks good and what here looks like complete shit? You tell me. So my guess is on this thing over here being what's fucked up. Okay, let's zoom in on you. See this? But you see how... Alright, so the way this works, that's a resistor. So the whole idea with a resistor is that there is something inside of this component that is going to resist the flow of electricity. So you have film resistors, you have carbon resistors, you have resistors made out of all sorts of different types of material. And all of that stuff is located inside here. Now, in order to attach the resistor to the motherboard, it's got this little metal piece on this side and that metal piece on that side, and that's what you're going to be soldering to. Now the problem here, as you can see, is that the metal stuff is kind of melted away, and now all you have left is this whitish material on the sides, and when you see that, that usually means that a resistor is fucked. So I'm going to measure on the multimeter. Before I measure on the multimeter, let's just take a look and see what that resistor is supposed to be in the schematic. So in the schematic, and let me actually see what resistor that is in the board view. Alright, so board view says that that resistor that it looks really messed up is R7630. Now when I open up the schematic, R7630 is supposed to be 2.2 ohms. Let me just zoom in on that so that you can see a little better. 2.2 ohms, and with a 2% tolerance. Now when I measure that on here, I'm going to take my multimeter. Now, I remember, when I go into resistance mode here, this is important now. When you're measuring resistance, turn your make sure there's no power going through whatever you're using. I have a Fluke. I'm not going to kill my Fluke because it's a $90 meter by doing this. But if you get some shitty-ass $30 or $40 multimeter, there's a good chance that when you measure resistance, or you do diode mode measurements with power going through a circuit, that you skull-fuck your multimeter. And that's not good because then you'll have to buy another one. Which actually be good if you have a really shitty multimeter. So right now, well, I have the multimeter probes touching each end, and this is what I get. I get open line. It measures absolutely nothing. So what's supposed to be a 2.2 ohm resistor right now is an infinity ohms resistor. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to replace that resistor with one from a donor board. Do you think that I'm grabbing that from my pack of resistors, that I'm going to mouser.com to order that thing? No way in hell. Again, I am not waiting weeks for little things to show up to prove theories. And why do I say weeks when they offer shipping via first-class mail and priority mail? Because you're going to order one resistor, and you're going to replace it, and it's going to fix part of your problem, and then then it's not going to be fixed. You're going to see something else is wrong. You're going to order that. You're going to wait 5 days for that, and that'll fix part of your problem. And then you're going to notice something else is wrong, and you're going to order that, and that's going to take 10 days. And it's just, by the time you fix the board, the fucking computer will be obsolete. So have donor boards in stock so you don't have to deal with that shit. And this is not like a hard drive. This is not a mechanical part that gets wear and tear. It's not like the resistor that I'm taking off of my donor board that's pretty much been soldered once and maybe never used is bad or low quality. This is not like used underwear. It's a fucking resistor. Come on, hot air station. Come on. Come on, you fuck. Desolder so Lewis can go home. Come on. Desolder so I can feed my kitty. There you go, you fuck. Alright. Now let's tend the pads. Beep. 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 Excellent. Okay. Let's get rid of the old lead-free solder. Carry that away with the leaded solder ball. Okay. Yep. Fuck you, old lead-free solder. And I might as well clean up that while I'm there. Might as well clean up this while I'm there. Okay. Now let's get my donor board. Steal a resistor from that. Okay. Already stolen. Already stolen. Already stolen. Ooh, you still have the resistor there. Measure you and make sure you're good. Of course it's good. Alrighty. When would it ever not be good? These boards are quality. The highest quality of thrown away goods. One person's trash is my beautiful new resistor. And when I put this machine in the window for $675, once I get it into an SO state, I'll be very happy. Actually, I'll be happy when somebody pays for this shit, but in the meantime... Alright, let's see what we get. Further diagnosing required? Not really. The fan spins. Okay, it spun until I touched it. The fan spins, which, as I like to joke, means that I am done. Yep. So, at the very least, I have found one again, even the fucking backlight jobs that were in this box were just was sorted by people that were like, okay, it's not the fuse, it's not the connector, me, idiot, I give up. Like, kind of stuff. Every single fucking board in that box was just some kind of bullshit. Like, best case scenario from the ones where it was board issue. Best case scenario where crap like this, where it was just people who just don't know how to use their brain. Worst case scenario was like you tried to replace the PCH on one of them and you failed. And after that, you decided these other 12 boards where you were smart enough to diagnose it was the PCH, but it's too stupid to actually fix it. You decided to just put in here because those are the worst BGA rework problems you can get on an A1278. It's like just fuck you. And again, I never buy these wholesale lots. I just decided just for the fuck of it, just because there are so many people that buy this crap. I always advise against it. I always tell you, like, figure out why it is somebody's selling something. Think really hard about why it is. But no, I just want to get in on what everybody else is doing. I just want to try. I just want to assume the best of people. To assume the best. No. This was sorted through bullshit, and it's just fuck off. And but yeah, hopefully you learned something. So this board was not turning on. It was clearly trying to enter an SO state. All the SO power rails were present, but one of the SO power rails wasn't present, so it wasn't turning on. So I had two choices. I could either go through every single SO power rail to see which one was missing by going to the sheet on the schematic that tells me what power rails are supposed to be present in the machine, and that is right over here. So again, this used to be much lower on the schematic, and now it's on page 62, because fuck if Apple cares if this is simple to figure out. You would just go through here and figure out which rails are missing, and then try to use your brain to figure out why. Now, what I did, because it's 1 in the morning, and I just want to fucking go home, what I did is I just decided, let me look at the machine. So again, I like to do things in a logical fashion. I like to actually go through. I don't like to just guess and look and stare and try to find the easy hints. I often actually do enjoy going through that and measuring in a methodical manner, because it just keeps my brain working. But every now and then I'll decide I just want to, let's see if there's something easy. And on this board, as you can see, there's a shit stain on it. It looks like a little pigeon just came up to here and just took a shit and ran away. So I decided to look where that was on the board. I looked on the board, and again, I don't even need to know what that resistor does in the circuit. I don't even need to know that that's a resistor. You look at it, it looks fucked up, replace it. I decided, let me look through the circuit, let me measure it, but in the end of the day, you don't even have to know that. All you had to know to solve this problem, all you had to know was, look, shit stain. What's near the place with the shit stain? Let's measure what's coming out of the place with the shit stain. The schematic says that's supposed to be different than what's coming out of the place with the shit stain. Let's replace it so it doesn't look like it has a shit stain on it anymore. And what do you know? It turns on and works. It's that simple.